Hey guys, welcome to Made by BritSie, episode number 8. I'm Brittany, and this is my podcast where I share with you my latest knitting and sewing endeavors. I'm coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, where I live with my husband Dave and our cat Slayer. And today is Tuesday, August 28th, and it's a super hot an incredibly sunny day here in Boston, which is nice because I think after we have a few days of this really hot weather, and then I think it's going to start getting cooler. So I'm trying to enjoy it while it's here, even though I'm really looking forward to fall. So you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry at MadeByBritSie. And I'll start off by saying that I have no finished objects this week. I do have a lot of whips. I think more whips than I've had in a long time. There is a reason for that, and there's one that I thought was going to be a finished object this week, but it didn't quite make it. Also, my birthday was this past Sunday. I turned 34. Kind of can't believe it, but yep. So because of that, I do have some stash enhancements to share, and most of them are already being used. So I'm just gonna combine stash enhancements and whips into one segment. So like I said, I do have several whips to show you this week. Some are new, some are old, and there is a reason why I cast on so many. I guess it's actually probably not that many for most people, but for me, I'm usually pretty monogamous with my knitting, and I tend to stick to 2 or 3 projects at a time. But I think now I've got like 5 on the needles, and I'm not even sure why I stopped there because I was ready to cast on some more. So the reason for that is, as I was in my craft room the other day, I came across this little tiny golden moth. And I didn't even realize it was a moth. I had seen 1 or 2 in here before. And when I think of moths, I think of like the really gigantic ones, or even like I've always seen like the kind of medium-sized ones with like white wings. But this was like the tiniest little insect, and it had like these iridescent gold wings. So I saw one on my yarn, and okay, I didn't think really anything of it because my yarn is by a window, and sometimes we do have the windows open. So I thought, okay, maybe a bug got in here, not a big deal. But as I started digging through my yarn, I noticed that there were a bunch, and they were living in a couple of skeins of yarn. Some of them I had to throw out. Some of them, there's one that I actually wound into a ball and started knitting with, and I have found a couple of weak spots that I think are due to the moths like eating it or whatever they do. But so far I've been able to, they only seem to be in the beginning, and I've kind of like, I think worked past some, I hope. So yeah, anyway, I think I'm rid of the moths, but my husband came in here with a giant garbage bag and was like, okay, is there any yarn that you want to keep? And I'm like, we are not throwing this yarn away. I want to keep all of it. So luckily we did a little research, and like I said, I threw out the yarn that was like really affected, that had like a bunch of moths in it. Like, I mean, they really had made like a nest in there or something. So apparently you can kill them by either like putting the yarn in the oven and baking it at a low temperature, or putting it in the freezer. So I did put some yarn in the freezer. I think it's okay though. I didn't see any like, I don't know, larvae or like small moths or whatever they are. I didn't see any in there, and I think we're good. But we also found out, I guess they like to inhabit yarn that's not being used, which my stored yarn is actually fine. I didn't see any moths in there. It's just the yarn that I have out, which even though it's out, I guess I'm kind of, I use the yarn on top the most, but a lot of it is maybe the yarn that is kind of sunk to the bottom. I guess doesn't get like rifled through as much. So yeah, so that made me think like, okay, I really need to quit buying yarn and actually use yarn that I have. Otherwise the moths are just gonna take it over. So yeah, I started pulling out skeins of yarn, putting together color combinations, and it really got the wheels turning for new projects. And I just finished the Marfa shawl, and I really wanted to start another brioche project. So I also was kind of thinking about that. So yeah, anyway, that's what led to my cast-on-itis this week. I was just about to get started with my whip parade. And the electric company has pulled up outside. And so I should start off by saying that I've been trying to record this podcast since like 9 o'clock this morning. And there's been construction on this side of me. There's been construction on that side of me. And then today, the electric company, for some reason, has dug a giant hole in the road. So they were out there with literally a bulldozer and a jackhammer, just pounding away at the road. And so I was like, okay, they've got to stop at some time. I mean, at least by 5. But I went to lunch, came back, and they were gone. So they had cones up. It looked like they were done for the day. So I start recording, and lo and behold, they've decided to come back, and they just announce themselves with some really obnoxious honking. So hopefully, I think they're filling the hole back in. Hopefully it won't be too noisy, but if you hear rumblings and honks and whatever, that's what it is. So anyway, on with the show. So the first whip I have to show you is my Alanis top, which is a pattern by Elizabeth Smith. And I showed this on the last podcast. I didn't have, I think I had like the front hem done, and now I've got the front and back hem done, and I've joined in the round. So this is kind of hard to show because I'm in the middle of a row, but this is kind of cropped boxy top that's going to be a good layering piece for winter. It's short sleeve, but it's got a lot of cool details that I'm going to show you guys. So I'm knitting this on US size 6 needles. These are my Addie clicks, which I really love. This is my first interchangeable knitting needle set that I got. And my husband bought these for me one year for Christmas when I had no idea that nice needles even really existed. I was just using, clover needles from Michael's or whatever, and those were fine, but I just had never, I wasn't watching any podcasts yet, and I had no idea that you could get really nice needles. So, anyway, I'm knitting this out of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Tweed in the Autumn Heather colorway, and this is a worsted weight yarn, a nice tweedy yarn in a rust color that's going to be really good for winter. So far, like I said, I've got the front and back done. I'm knitting in the round, and I thought this was going to be a much faster knit than it is, because it is worsted weight. But I think because I'm not used to knitting with worsted weight, I can't spend a lot of time at once working on this because my hands kind of start to hurt. It's weird. You wouldn't think it would make that big of a difference, but I guess, I don't know, it does. So yeah, there's a lot of cool details in this pattern. Hopefully I don't lose any stitches while I'm showing you. So it's got like alternating sections, alternating knit and purl sections that make a cool little detail in the front, kind of like stripes going up and down. I don't know if you can see that. I'll post a picture so that you can see what I'm talking about a little better. And then I just put markers in for the pocket. It's got a cute little pocket with a contrasting lining. So I'm working on that now. So like I said, I feel like it should be quicker than it is. I mean, I think it's about 200 stitches on the needles. Yeah, a little over 200 stitches. So it's not anything crazy, but I feel like I can just put in a few rounds at a time, and then I have to take a break. So I don't know. Hopefully, as I get used to knitting with worsted weight, it'll go a little quicker. But for now, this is what I have. I do have some time because it's going to be, mostly a fall project or something I'll wear in fall. So yeah, I'm not super worried about that because I do have other things that I'm a little more excited about. So the next two things that I want to show you guys. So this is one of my stash enhancements. This was a birthday present from my husband and my mother-in-law, and this is the Fringe Supply. Is this the porter bag or filled bag? I think this is the porter bag. I think the filled bag is the bigger one. So yeah, I got this. I chose the toffee color. So I wasn't even really expecting to get this yet. I had pointed this out to my husband the last time I drug him into the yarn store, which doesn't happen that often. And he remembered. It was a while ago, so I wasn't sure if he would remember when it came time to get me birthday presents, but he did. And I think my mother-in-law helped him remember because she was with us when we went to the yarn store. Yeah, so I just moved a new project in here, and I love this bag. It's a little bigger than the other bag that I had been using to carry my knitting while I walk, but this one works just as well. So just slip this over my wrist and knit while I'm walking. So yeah, it's a good size. I've got 3 skeins of yarn in here right now, and it could definitely hold more. So it's really a good size bag, and I love this color. It's really durable. I mean, plenty of people have raved about this bag, so I know you've seen this before, and now I have one, so I'm excited. Yeah, so in this bag I have my second brioche project. This is the Harlow hat by Andrea Mowry. And this is a super quick knit. So I've done most of this while I walk to work. I'd say about 70% of this has been knit while I'm walking, and maybe 30% I've done at home. So this is almost done. This would have been finished last night, but so last night, when I realized I was off today, I was like, oh, I'm going to stay up really late and knit all night, which I always say, and it never happens. But it was around midnight. I made myself a cup of tea, and I thought I was ready to decrease or to start decreasing. And so I sat down to do that, and then I looked at the pattern and realized that I was supposed to knit 8 inches, not 6. 6 is for the child size. So I realized I had a couple more inches to go, which is fine because, again, it's really fast. But I was like, I don't know if I feel like churning that out tonight. So I didn't even take a sip of my tea, and I passed out on the couch and got no knitting done. So anyway, but I'll probably have this finished tonight. So far, this is what I have. And I love this. It's super squishy. It's just really simple brioche if you're a beginner at brioche, or if this is your first project or second project like it is for me. Honestly, I kind of wish I had started with this because it's so easy to knit brioche in the round, and when you're using 2-color brioche, it helps you remember what row you're on, like what you need to do. So I know that when I'm knitting with my main color, I'm going to be doing the yarn overs and then knitting the next stitch. And I know when I'm knitting with my contrasting color, I'm going to be doing the yarn over and then purling. So I guess I should mention the yarn. So this yarn is one that I dug out from the bottom of my stash, and it's one that I love. So I don't know why I haven't used it before. I guess I just never, I love pink yarn, and I end up with a lot of it. I buy a lot of it, but I don't always love to wear pink. And I kind of went back and forth. I actually cast on this hat probably 4 or 5 times with different yarn combinations, and I think for shawls, I don't stress about yarn combination or color combinations that much, but so with hats, I feel like I already hats don't suit me that well. So I like went through this whole thought process of what colors did I want to have on my head and what was going to work with my hair, because I think ultimately I would like a black hat, but then I was afraid it was going to just blend in and become one with my hair. So it just went back and forth, and finally I was like, you know what, I'm not going to stress about all of that. I'm just going to put two yarns together that I like, and I'm going to knit it and I'm going to wear it. So so this first yarn, the main color, the pink, is Madeline Tosh. I think it's the Twist Light. Actually, I have the tag right here. So so this is Madeline Tosh, and this is the Twist Light, and this is the High-Low colorway. So this is 75% merino wool and 25% nylon. And it's just a really cool variegated pink yarn with speckles of black. And a little white or light pink, I guess. So yeah, I just really, really like how it's knitting up. I think it's beautiful. It's squishy. It's not too pink, which I like. I mean, it's definitely pink, but it's not just like over the top. And then the contrasting color, so the gray that I'm using, I don't know if you can see that. So this is also a Madeline Tosh yarn that I pulled from the depths of my stash. So this, I got two skeins. I got this last year in her Black Friday sale, and when I really didn't have any projects in mind, I was just buying yarn that I liked. So this is Tosh Mo Light. So this is 80% merino wool and 20% kid mohair. So it's really nice and soft. I knit my Tegna out of this same yarn, different color, but same yarn. And it's super soft. It has a nice halo. And this is the Smokestack Optic colorway. And yeah, so it's a nice, it's got, the base is a light gray, and it's got a lot of black speckles in there, which I just love, because to me this is, I mean, it's a neutral, but it's not boring, which I love. I have the hardest time knitting with neutrals or light colored yarn because I don't wear it that much, but when it's got, you know, a little something to make it different, then I really like that. So yeah, that is my contrasting color, and I don't know, I have nothing but good things to say about this pattern. I love it so much that I started one for my husband. Okay. So this also falls into the stash enhancements category because I purchased myself, and this was my birthday present to myself, amongst other things. So I bought some Brooklyn Tweed Loft yarn. So I've never knit with this before. I've heard a lot about it. Everyone seems to love this yarn, and I've seen it at my yarn shop many times and just kind of didn't really have a project in mind. But this is actually the same yarn and same colors that Andrea Mowry knit the hat that she shows for the pattern. This is the exact same yarn that she used. So when I'm knitting for my husband, which I don't do a whole lot, I know he's most likely to wear something that is black or gray or a combination of those. So yeah, and the combination that she used just looked so good in the picture, and I just grabbed the same ones. So this is again Brooklyn Tweed Loft, and this is the Soot colorway. I think that's the darker one is the Soot, and I don't have the tag, or no, actually I think the lighter one is Soot, and I think, or no, I was right the first time. The darker one is soot, and the lighter one is charcoal, I believe. If that's wrong, I will make a note down below, but I think that's right. Charcoal and soot. So I have mixed feelings about this yarn right now. I know everyone raves about it, and I do like it, and I knew that it was going to be different to knit with, but I find it, it feels rough at first, but this is always the test that I do, rub it on my neck. It feels soft on my neck, like definitely wearable, but as I'm knitting with it, I find it a little rough on my hands, like to the point it was almost kind of rubbing on one of my fingers and making it a little red. So yeah, I don't know if I love working with it that much, but I do like how it's knitting up. So I don't have a whole lot done, and this is kind of a tangled mess. So yeah, I barely have anything done because I just started this hat for him. So far this is what I have. Oh, that's the wrong side, and this is the right side. Honestly, they kind of look the same. So that's the cool thing about brioche, is that it's completely reversible. So you kind of get 2 hats in one, or 2 projects in one. So I've showed him what I have so far, and he really likes how it's knitting up. So I think he is going to wear this, and if not, I'm going to wear it. So so you start this pattern on size 2 needles, and these are just some clover needles that I picked up, some itty bitty 16-inch size 2 circulars. These are the bamboo needles. So I'm using these for 2 inches, and then I'll switch to my size 3 needles once my pink Harlow hat comes off of those. So yeah, I might have this even finished by the next podcast, so we will see. So for my 3rd work in progress, I've got to bring the whole basket over because there's a lot of yarn in here that I want to show you. So I also started the BritSie's Unite shawl by Stephen West. So I was looking for a shawl, like as I was digging through all of my yarns, I came across a lot of yarn that I wanted to use, but I wanted to let each yarn kind of have its spotlight. So the BritSie's Unite shawl is really cool because you kind of get to showcase a bunch of different yarns and kind of let them stand out. So for the biggest section, I started with the pattern starts with the biggest section first, which I like because once that's out of the way, then I feel like it's only gets easier from there or quicker from there. So this is just a garter stitch kind of triangle it's going to make like I don't know the correct geometrical term for it, but it's going to be like a rectangle that's kind of or slanted diagonal. I don't know. There's a proper term that's not coming to my mind right now. But yeah, so far this is in garter stitch, and the pattern, or in the sample, he stripes it. I really like this yarn, and it's kind of stripy on its own, I feel like. So I was happy with the way this was knitting up, so I decided not to stripe it. But this is also Madeline Tosh, another yarn that I got in the Black Friday sale last year. And this is Toshmo Light in the patched indigo colorway. There we go. So yeah, it's just a really pretty kind of fadey blue. I think the name is perfect to patch in indigo because it does look like a pair of old blue jeans that have kind of been patched up with, different colors of denim. And I think it's really cool. Yeah, so I am combining this with, so this is the color combination that caught my eye. I don't know if I can hold them all together. So it's going to be this combined with some black, and then I think I'm going to do that. And maybe this. Oh, that's a lot of yarn. So, oh wait, and I think I'm also gonna do some smokestack in there too. So yeah, I don't know. I've got time to kind of play around with things. and see as I finish one section, like what I want to use for the next. I won't name all of the, or give details about all of the yarn yet because there's so many. So probably as I add them in to the project, then I'll go into more detail about them. But if there's one that you saw and you just have to know what it is, message me and I'll get back to you right away. Yeah, so my last whip, I don't think I'm going to show today because I've shown it the past couple of podcasts and I haven't made any progress on it since the last time, and that's the Herrera top by Paula Pereira. It's out of actually a new pom-pom quarterly just came out, so it's not the newest one, but it's the one before that. So it's a pattern from that magazine, and I'll insert a picture just so you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I really didn't get any rows put in since the last podcast, so there's no point showing you guys. Hopefully by the next one I'll have made some progress. Yeah. So last but not least, I have my sewing projects to share with you guys. So nothing super exciting this week, but I think that's kind of a good thing because I do need more basics in my wardrobe. And I've really started to think more about like what I'm going to be wearing this winter, or fall and winter. And those are always hard seasons for me to style, mainly winter, because it comes to a point here where there's snow on the ground. So you kind of have to always be wearing boots, either like snow boots or Doc Martens. And for me, like the jeans and boots combination doesn't really work so well because my legs are like this long. So it's just not very flattering on me as much as I want it to be because I just love that look. So my solution is to wear like skirts with tights and boots. I find that works better for me. And, but not just any skirt. Normally in the summer, I don't wear short skirts. I wear like the midi length kind of circle skirts. So I feel like that's the most flattering length and shape for me. But during the winter when I'm going to be wearing tights, I usually can get away with a shorter skirt because I'm going to have tights under it, you know, not like sheer tights, but like the thick, dark, warm tights. So yeah, my wardrobe was missing just a simple shorter black circle skirt. So I whipped this up the other night. It's not hemmed or anything. And these are just so quick. I feel like I've talk about these all the time on the podcast and I've shown them before and I wear them a lot. So they're nothing super exciting, but they are so easy to whip up, especially when you make it out of a knit fabric. So there's no zipper or anything like that. You really just sew a waistband, decide whether you want a quarter circle, a half circle, or full circle skirt. I usually go with a half or a full just because I like a little room around my hips. And yeah, I feel like these are so flattering because, well, you decide how big you want the waist to be, but I always make it so that it fits on my natural waist. So it accentuates the smallest part of you and then will kind of flare out, which I just love that look. So yeah, I think this is going to be good for winter because I'm also going to make, I also went through my fabric and pulled out a bunch of fabric that I thought would be appropriate for winter. So I'm gonna make some tops like this, which I should mention this. This is the Astoria top from Seamwork. So Seamwork is an online magazine that I did subscribe to for years actually, and I just canceled my subscription maybe a few months ago just because I found I wasn't finding time to read it. And so you get credits every month that you can use to purchase their patterns, and my credits were just piling up because I am so bad. Their patterns are PDF patterns, so you have to print them out, tape them together, and I just find that I'm not as likely to do that if I have another pattern that I can use that's just one that I can cut out. But I did print this one out, and this is a pattern that I've made a bunch. So this is just a little cropped top. You can make it into like a sweater if you use like a sweater knit. So it could be really warm if you wanted it to be. And they have different sleeve options. Like you can do the shorter sleeves, I think 3/4, and maybe even long sleeves. I forget, but anyway, you can easily modify this to make a bunch of different options depending on what you're looking for. So I'm going to be making this like a long sleeve version out of some winter fabrics to go with this little black circle skirt, and then I'll be able to wear that with tights and my boots. And then I'm also going to be making so on in the picture for the Alanis top, they have it styled with kind of a long flowy shirt underneath, which I really like. And I don't have anything quite like that. I have an abundance of t-shirts, but nothing that's really kind of loose like that. So I'm gonna make one. I dug this, it's a black jersey knit out of my stash, nothing fancy. It is really sheer, or not sheer, it's thin and sort of sheer. It's kind of got that burnout effect, which, oh yeah, you can kind of see that. So it'll be a good layering piece because I'm not gonna wear this on its own. It'll be under the Alanis top and hopefully some other tops. And I don't have a pattern that's exactly what I'm looking for, because I've also been perusing Pinterest, like you do, and I found a few photos that I'm using for inspiration, and I'll insert one here so you know what I'm talking about. So I basically want to make that top to wear under the Alanis top, and I'm going to use one of these two patterns and just kind of modify it a little. If I use this one, I'll just make it a little shorter and probably not do the bell sleeves. And if I do this one, I'll just probably crop it a little bit and then add like the loose peplum at the bottom. Yeah, so I don't know. I haven't decided which one I'm going to use, but I feel like either way I'll probably end up with the same result. Yeah, so that's it for my sewing. Like I said, nothing too crazy. Because I'm kind of in winter mode, and which is knitting mode. But I like to still sew throughout the winter and still have projects that I'm working on, mainly just so I don't forget, or not that I would ever forget my sewing skills, but I don't know, just to not get rusty. So anyway, sorry for kind of rambling. So yeah, that's it for today. I hope the construction noise wasn't too crazy. Hopefully it's louder here than it is for you guys, and maybe it won't translate to the video. I don't know, but city life, what are you gonna do? But thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.